Hey everyone, it is Evan here from the Trade Risk on Wednesday, June 3rd. We are intraday right now, and this is our weekly Swing Trade Ideas video where we bring you some of the names from our watch list, stocks that are holding up well, showing some relative strength, and ideally are not yet too extended in their moves. As always, these videos are powered by our partners over at Investors Business Daily. We curate ideas from their stock lists. You can get access to their stock lists with a link in the description of this video. So we got 4 names we are looking at today. We got 2 from IBD's list, 2 from our watch list, and we did our market analysis video yesterday. So if you want to hear our thoughts on the market, on where we are, and our general outlook, watch or dial back to yesterday's video to hear those thoughts. And I bring it up because, in the near term, especially given today's advancement to the upside, we are quite extended in the short term. And these ideas that we're going to talk about today are really sort of presented in a vacuum. They're just based on their specific setup. So if your lens or view of the market right now is that we're due for a pullback or things are a bit frothy out there, then these are simply just watch list candidates for you. They're not meant to rush out and buy. You'd probably want to let them settle in a little bit. So that's always the case with our trade ideas. They're simply presented based on their specific setup, but of course you need to wrap your lens, your process, and your view of the markets around these ideas to make sense. So let's jump in. So first here is DXCM. So this comes from IBD's watch list, and certainly on the surface here, it doesn't look a whole lot actionable, from a traditional technical analysis perspective. But what I'm looking at here is if I zoom out, we can see that this has been, one of the strongest performers, certainly in a strong sector, which is healthcare, which has been one of the strongest out there, kind of right alongside with tech. This has been, certainly marching and helping lead to the upside, broke out to new all-time highs in mid-April, so well before, certainly a lot of other stocks, and plenty stocks aren't even at new all-time highs. So a nice leader there in a strong space, and what I like here is just the fact that it is cooling off. It is pulling back and offering potentially a lower risk entry point in a longer term uptrend. And that is something I like when we see a lot of froth out there, which I am seeing in a lot of spaces. In fact, putting together this video, even for 4 trade ideas, was actually a little difficult. I didn't find a surplus of names. Usually there's many to choose from and kind of narrow it down. It was a little bit hard to kind of come up with a list of 4 here. So for me, that sort of tells me something. Maybe it tells you something too about where we are in this current state. But DXCM, I like the pullback here. So if this continues to pull back into the 330s or so, really coming back down to last Wednesday's lows, I think that's starting to get to an interesting spot here where we can start to pay attention to it and start to look at how it acts back around this brief consolidation. And then, of course, you have the actual breakout highs of February right down here. So for me, this 305 to 330 zone, that's kind of a sweet spot where it gets interesting. I have no idea if we get there or not. To me, though, that is the more interesting kind of pullback measurement zone. If we don't get there, if this starts to break out, well, you've got some of this downtrend line you can look at, or kind of this nice around 400 level, which was upper level consolidation. If we start surging through there, then playing this on momentum with a continued leader makes some sense too. So DXCM, that's the first name I want to talk about today. The second here is LVGO. We talked about this one a few weeks ago. This comes from IBD's watch list, and this is kind of the solo momentum name I'll put on today's trade ideas. It is pretty actionable, and look at the volume coming in. We're recording this video intraday right now, and it's already running 130% volume. So we're going to have a very strong quote unquote accumulation day here as it breaks out to new all-time highs, or potentially anyway, see how the close goes, and it just consolidated for about 3 weeks. So in terms of momentum, in terms of kind of an actionable breakout here, LVGO, I think you got to pay attention to it. Again, it comes from the healthcare space, so I like it. We've talked about it in the past, and it continues to act well. So next two names come from our watch list here, the TR150, TNDM. This is the first one. This is a lower ranked, I think number 85 on our current list right now. So TNDM, though, when I look here, again, this is a healthcare play. If I show a weekly chart, this might help clear things up, but you can see this one basically went nowhere for 2019. It just moved totally sideways, oscillating around $60. We had that initial, we had that drop in the market in the first quarter, and then it quickly recovered back to its highs. It's over 74, which is the bulk of resistance, or the top end of the range from 2019. It is under the all-time highs made earlier this year, but I like this consolidation. And again, this is what I'm looking at here, is just letting this thing cool off and pull back and move sideways. Very orderly, low volume consolidation, high volume prior breakout. So TNDM, really like this setup here. It's not ready today. It might not trigger. So again, it's simply a watch list candidate, but I like the consolidation here. Ideally, it holds above 74. If it can start breaking and resolving this consolidation to the upside, then I think we get a nice winner on our hands. So TNDM, that's the first one from our watch list. And number two is Tesla. Tesla is something we haven't talked about in a very long time, and this is potentially a shorter term opportunity here, but notable because of the extreme tight sideways overlap that we saw for this stock. We don't typically see Tesla move in such a tight range for basically 3 weeks worth of trading, from low to high about 7%, which is, kind of high, sounds high, but for this particular name, it's certainly a quiet period for it. So 15 days, high volume breakout to the upside here. We're getting really close to these prior all-time highs, and I like the double inside session here, or really, I guess it's, kind of hard to call this one not really an inside day. This here is clearly an inside day because the highs and lows are totally within the highs and lows of yesterday. So for this reason, a 15-day breakout, a gap up move to the upside breakout, tightening day. I think for you active traders, this is something I'd be paying attention to, because you just have a nice little coil here. Ideally, the breakout direction is to the upside. It would certainly support the breakout here from Monday, but it doesn't have to be. If it starts rolling over here, then perhaps we're finally seeing some signs of exhaustion in this stock. But for now, the trend is to the upside. Consolidation past breakout is to the upside. Short-term consolidation, particularly for you shorter-term traders, I think this is an interesting one to watch into the end of the week. So that's it. That is what we have for this week's Trade Ideas videos. 4 names, a couple of different looks there. Remember, do your homework on these particular stocks, and hopefully you find something interesting. So that's it for me. Thanks, as always, for tuning in every Wednesday. Trade Ideas just like this. You can subscribe on YouTube or follow us at The Trade Risk. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you back here on Friday for the weekly recap video.